My beloved child, you are disappointed because I am silent. But you do not know that it is precisely this silence that is driving the roots of your faith deeper than anything your eyes can see. You are afraid that I am slow to act. Yet you have never seen how I quietly move mountains and clear the road ahead of you. Do not be quick to conclude that I have abandoned you sometimes. I step back only to teach you how to stand, not to leave you to fall. Long ago, the prophet Elijah fled into the wilderness, exhausted to the point that he said, "Lord, it is enough. Please take my life." He thought the Lord was silent, mistook my seeming delay as a sign that he had been forsaken. But I did not rebuke him or scold him. I simply sent an angel to touch Elijah twice and say, "Get up and eat, for the journey you must go on is still long." There was no thunderous miracle, no roaring thunder, only a simple meal, yet from within that silence Elijah was raised up to continue his journey. In the same way, there are days when you hear nothing from me, yet you do not know that I am preparing a quiet strength, enough to carry you across a whole desert you were sure you could not cross. There are seasons in life when you do not need anyone to cheer you on. You only need a small sign that heaven still remembers you. Yet the longer you wait, the more you see nothing but a silence stretched out until it feels suffocating. You assume it is a sign that I have turned my back on you. But in truth, that is when I am placing you into an invisible furnace where silence becomes a mirror, revealing the cracks in your soul that you would not normally see. I am not cruel. I am healing the deepest parts of you in a way that noise could never accomplish. There are times when you look back over your life and see only missteps, dreams not yet reached, prayers not yet answered, doors not yet opened. You conclude that I have come too late. Yet it is precisely in those delays that I am resetting your breathing to match the rhythm of heaven. You only see time slipping through your fingers. I see a person being refined to carry a responsibility far greater than anything you are now imagining for your future. And then there are days when the pain is so great that your mind begins to ask, "Is God punishing me?" But you do not realize that what you call loss is often simply me pulling you away from paths whose end is a deep abyss. I do not let you hurt in order to humiliate you. I allow the pain so that you will loosen your grip on the things that are causing your soul to decay. My silence, my slowness, all of it is a carefully measured movement to protect you from what you are not yet clear-sighted enough to see. You still tend to think that when the heavens are silent, it means I have gone far from you and left you to struggle alone with things you cannot even name. But you do not realize that in the very moments when you tremble in the quiet, I am bending closest. Listening to each sigh you try to hide behind a calm facade. I hear even the words that never become sound. I see every tear you quickly wipe away when no one is watching. And yet, simply because I do not answer at once, you fear that I no longer care. My child, silence is not a closed door. It is the room into which I lead you, so that I may mend the deep fractures you dare not touch. If you will be still inside, you will sense that my silence has never been distance, but the way I hold you in my arms without frightening you. At times I allow the stillness to last longer than you would like, because I know there are things that cannot be restored in the midst of noise. You wait for a clear affirmation, while I want you to listen again to the beating of your own heart, where I have always been, not moving even half a step away. You think I am late, but you do not see that I am sharpening your faith in the gentlest possible way. I do not want you to trust me only when you receive what you desire. I want you to trust me even when every outward sign seems to say that I have forgotten. One day you will understand this faith is not born when prayers are answered immediately, but when you keep holding my hand, even when you hear nothing at all. In that very moment you grow, like a tender shoot learning to twist its roots toward the true source of life. I know there are nights when you lift your eyes to the sky and ask, "Lord, are you looking at me?" And I still want you to know that I have never taken my eyes off you, not even for a moment. You see silence as a refusal. I see it as a cocoon cradling a soul that is about to grow stronger. Sometimes I keep silence so that you will stop searching for answers outside yourself and begin to look for me in the rhythm of your daily life. Where I hide myself in each small piece you usually overlook. I am not punishing you when I am silent. I am healing you at a pace your heart can bear. And one day, when you look back, you will see that I upheld you through things you once thought were of no importance. But I also see within you a quiet doubt you believe you are no longer worthy of my attention. You think you are too weak, too wrong, too broken for me to want to draw near. Yet, my child, I do not see you with human eyes. I see you with the gaze of your Creator, the one who knew you before you were formed. I have never accused you with the harsh words you repeat to yourself each night, nor have I ever measured you by success or failure. I look only at the heart that keeps trying, though it is sometimes covered in scars, and I still call it precious. When you let silence lead you into self-condemnation, you unknowingly forget that I am a father, not a judge. What I am waiting for is not your perfection, but the return of your weary heart. Therefore, when you feel that the heavens are mute, do not shrink back and conclude that I am no longer there. I want you to learn to look beneath the surface of the stillness and see that I am still moving in places your eyes cannot yet reach. Do not run from me when you feel lonely. It is precisely then that I long for you to call my name with all the honesty in your heart, even if your only words are, Lord, I am so weak. You do not need to be strong in order to stand before me. You only need to be real. From that honesty, I will lead you out of the fog that is covering your soul. And then you will slowly realize that the feeling of being forgotten is only the shadow of fear, not the reality of my heart toward you. Once you walk through that shadow, everything that follows in your life, time, opportunities, even delays will be seen with entirely different eyes. You often look back over your years and wonder why everything seems delayed, why you always feel as though you have missed the important trains. When you see others walking quickly while you walk slowly, you assume that I am favoring them and forgetting you. But my child, I have never measured you by anyone else's pace. Every soul I have created has its own rhythm, its own appointed time, its own journey carefully designed so that it does not lose the essence I placed within it. Yet when you fix your eyes on comparison, you fail to notice my hand reshaping your path. You hear the clock urging you on, but it is often in those very moments that I am pulling you back from hurried steps that would leave your soul wounded and raw. I know there have been days when you opened your eyes and already felt at a disadvantage, out of step, no longer able to catch up with those who went ahead of you. You look at your age, at the opportunities that have slipped through your hands, and you sigh quietly. Now it's too late. But I want you to understand that I do not operate according to the timeline you see. I am not in a hurry when you are in a hurry, nor do I panic when you are afraid. I work in the deep places of the soul, where time is no longer a chain or a limit. You think the long years that have passed were only an empty stretch, but they have been silently carving out perseverance, humility, and faith, things that early success rarely has the power to create. When you think you are wandering in circles, in reality you are walking along the very path I marked out for you beforehand. There are times when you come to pray with a heart weighed down because you feel your life is moving too slowly, and you blame yourself more than you blame me. You ask whether I am still writing anything for your future, or if the pages of your life have already come to an end. But I want you to know that I have never canceled the destiny I began. No closed door has the authority to destroy what I have ordained. You can see only the present, but I see the whole road from start to finish. What you call slow is, many times, the perfect pace to keep you from receiving things you are not yet ready to carry. My child, the fact that you have not reached the finish line does not mean you have failed. Sometimes it simply shows that you are living within the precise process of my timing. I also see in you a habit that quietly wears down your spirit. You keep comparing yourself to the journey of others. You see them going far while you seem to move only inch by inch. And you conclude that you are inferior or have been left behind. But my child, every comparison blinds you to what I am quietly restoring in you. When your eyes are fixed on someone else's achievements, you no longer see the seeds I am sowing in you each day. The fact that those seeds have not yet blossomed does not mean they are not alive. They are simply waiting for the right climate, the right light, the right moment I have appointed. If you force them to bloom in someone else's season, you will cause the tender petals of your own life to break before they have a chance to tell the story I long to write through you. So, when you feel your heart growing anxious because time keeps passing, I long for you to slow your breathing and look at me. Instead of looking at the haste of this world, you are not late. You are being held a little longer so that when the door opens, you will step through with a soul strong enough, deep enough, and mature enough to carry what I place in your hands. I do not want you to receive blessings too early, before you have roots, because rootless blessings will make you fall faster than you think. Let me lead you according to the rhythm of heaven, a rhythm that is never off by even a second. And then you will realize this: what you once called too late was in fact the delicate preparation for things you never thought you could be worthy to receive. And when you pass beyond your obsession with time, you will begin to see every stumble, every delay, every closed door with new eyes. You will no longer rush to conclude that I am withholding something good from you. Instead, you will begin to understand that I am holding you back from things that do not belong to you. From that awareness, your heart will grow lighter, and you will recognize that I am making a way for you in places your eyes have not yet reached. For when you have learned to trust me in the delays, you will also learn how to trust me in losses, in redirections, in the things you call pain, and that will be the door leading you into a greater truth. Pain is not always punishment. Many times it is the shield I quietly place in front of you. There are days when you look at the broken pieces in front of you and sigh, God must be punishing me. Disappointment seems to come too easily, and joy seems to arrive too late. You watch opportunities fade. Relationships that once looked beautiful begin to crack, and you conclude in silence, maybe God doesn't love me anymore. But my child, I have never used pain to take revenge on you or to push you down. I use it as a mirror so you can see clearly what is weighing your soul down, the things you have been afraid to face. If you are willing to draw near to me, you will discover that what you call unfairness is, at times, the very protection I have quietly prepared just for you. When a door closes, I see you bow your head and blame yourself, blame life, and then blame me. You do not know that sometimes I am the one who places my hand on that door and shuts it before it has the chance to crush you. There are people you thought were right for you, but I could see in advance the pain they might bring into your life. There are places you wanted to go, but I knew you would lose yourself if I let you enter. So I am forced to stop you, even when you cry because you do not understand. You only see that you have lost something you wanted. I see that I am saving you from a wound you would not be able to heal on your own. And one day you will thank me when your heart is quiet enough to recognize that what I withhold is never less than what I am preparing for you. At times I use delays to keep you from dangers that the human eye cannot foresee. Like the time you were angry because you were stuck on the road or missed an appointment you thought was a great opportunity. You were sad, frustrated, blaming yourself for being careless. But you did not realize that sometimes those very moments of being held back are what kept you far from a crisis I did not want you to face. I do not need to perform a visible miracle to protect you. Sometimes a small delay is enough to change the course of a destiny. If you would look at your life from a wider angle, you would see that behind each late arrival, each change of plan, each lost opportunity, there is often a deliberate arrangement I am quietly putting in place. I do not boast when I rescue you. I simply act. Then stand and watch you walk on in safety. But I also know your easy habit you tend to give me the face of those who have wounded you. When someone lets you down, you are afraid I will do the same. When someone walks away, you fear I too will leave you. And when you are in pain, you quickly assume that I am punishing you. My child, I am not them. I did not come to strike you down. I came to lift you up from consequences you yourself do not fully understand. If I wanted to punish you, I would have left you to sink deeper into your wrong paths. But no, I pull you back, even when you resist, because I know the things you cannot yet see. I love you not because you deserve it, but because you belong to me, and because you belong to me, I will not allow pain to drive you off course. So when your heart is bleeding, I do not demand that you be strong. I only want you to come near and tell me how you truly feel. Whether it is fear, anger, or disappointment, I am not offended by those emotions. I am only saddened when you try to hide them and bear everything alone. Let me step into the dark places within you, the places you let no one touch because you think they are too ugly. There I will show you that pain is only the soil being turned over, so that I can plant something new. And when you allow me to walk with you, you will understand that pain has never been a full stop. It is only a comma that opens into renewal. From that awareness, you will slowly free yourself from the belief that I am punishing you, and begin to see that I am leading you toward a good you have not yet dared to believe you could receive. Then, when you have let go of your doubts about my love for you, you will begin to see events unfolding in a very different way. You will see that losses are no longer just losses, but the changing of soil for new seeds of life. You will see that turnings in the road are no longer detours, but precise adjustments to steer you away from the cliffs ahead. And you will see that I am not as far away as you thought. I am right beside you, at every step, with every sigh, every time you stand up again. Once you understand the meaning of pain, you will gently realize that not only has pain been misunderstood, you have also misjudged your own worth. And that will be the bridge that leads you to the next truth. You are not a flawed product of your past. You are being reshaped in the hands of a deeply patient potter. There are days when you look back at yourself and see only old scratches that have not yet healed. You remember wrong decisions, trust given to the wrong people, falls that fill you with shame whenever you recall them. Then you conclude that you deserve this, as if every mistake has turned you into someone who no longer has any value before me. But my child, I have never looked at you with the eyes you use to look at yourself. You see only a past full of fragments. I see a soul waiting to be made whole. I am not standing there to accuse you. I am standing there to pull you away from the harsh voice you repeat over and over in your own mind. If you would be still for a while, you would hear that my words are far gentler than the judgment you keep placing on yourself. When you blame yourself for what is past, I see you like a person standing before an old mirror, seeing only a distorted image of yourself and not realizing that it is the mirror that needs to be replaced, not your heart. The more you repeat, I deserve this, the greater the distance becomes between you and the restoration I have for you. You think I keep your failures in constant remembrance, but I have already placed them so far away that you are the only one still holding on to them. You call yourself by names I have never used: foolish, weak, worthless, getting what you deserve. Those words do not come from me. They come from the fear of being hurt again. You are using the past like a lock to chain yourself, while I long to remove it so you can step into a future shaped by my hands. You need only to relax your grip a little, and I will show you the new mirror I am holding out, where you are seen through the eyes of a father, not a judge. I want you to remember that you are only clay, and I am the potter. No one looks at the clay and calls it useless. They only look at the hands that shape it. You are not yet your final form. You are in the middle of the process. And the process always includes being pressed again, adjusted, even broken, so that you can be remade better. You thought the shaking in your life was punishment, but in reality, it is how I carefully reshape the parts that have drifted from my original intention. You are not abandoned in the furnace. You are placed there so you may become firm and strong. The vessel can never mold itself. It must allow the potter to touch it, turn it, adjust it, and sometimes hurt it a little so that it may become more beautiful. If you will let me work, you will come to understand that you are not broken beyond repair. You are being renewed. Little by little, I know you are tired of pretending you are fine, of trying to use your achievements to compensate for your deepest insecurity. You chase after the expectations of others, hoping that one day they will approve of you and your pain will disappear on its own. But my child, human hearts cannot be your place of healing. They are only a place that leaves you more exhausted. I do not wait for you to become strong before I come to you. I wait for you to admit you are weak so that I can be strong in your place. You do not have to play the role of the resilient one, because I love you in your truest state, tired, fragile, and sometimes not even knowing where to begin. I want you to lay down the burden of having to prove that you are good enough. For if you insist on keeping the right to condemn yourself, you are closing the very door that leads to restoration, which is my hand. So come near to me with all the things you consider ugly about yourself, missteps in your past, your cracked heart, your anger, your shame, your fear of being judged. I am not unfamiliar with these things. I have seen them long ago and still chose to love you through every stumble. Do not hide yourself any longer behind words of self-condemnation. Let me wipe clean the way you look at yourself, so that you may know you are not the final product of your mistakes. You are a page I am still writing on, not a discarded fragment. And as you begin to recognize your true worth in my hands, you will feel your heart grow lighter and your steps more steady. From there, you will come to understand why I do not want you to merely survive reluctantly. I want you to rise, not only to find peace, but to become living proof that restoration is real and is still unfolding in you day by day. Then, at some point, when your soul is no longer bound by the voices of the past, you will find yourself called to something greater than mere existence. You will begin to see that life is not just a string of attempts to get through the day, but a journey of being sent to reach others. You will know that what once caused you pain has now become a key that opens a door for those who are lost. And you will understand, quite naturally, that I do not restore you merely so that you can feel better. I restore you so that you may become light, so that through you, others may see me. And from that awareness, you will be ready to step into what comes next, living not just to survive, but to carry blessing wherever I place you. There are times when, after too many blows, you only have enough strength to say one thing to me: just let me have some peace. That's all. I understand that, because I see that you are so tired you no longer dare to dream of anything more. But my child, if you live only to avoid pain, only to get through each day, then you are living far beneath what I have placed inside you. I did not save you just so you could hide in a safe corner, lock your heart away, and fear every risk. I set you free so that you could step out, turning the very scars that once made you ashamed into a story of restoration for others. If you only ask for peace for yourself and forget that I long to use your life to touch other souls, the blessing within you will slowly run dry, because it has nowhere to flow. I know that many times you have ranked yourself among the ordinary, only daring to think that it is enough just to get by, asking for nothing more. You look at those who are used and think, I am not that kind of person. And so you retreat into your small, safe zone. But my child, I do not choose people by human standards. I do not look for the perfect. I look for those who have been broken, who have thirsted, who know what the depths feel like, so that when I lift them up, They understand the true value of grace. You say you have nothing to give, but I see in you a treasure that has been formed precisely through the seasons you thought were all loss. All I need is for you to dare to place into my hands the little you think you have. I will break it, bless it, and distribute it to far more people than you can imagine. The battles you are facing are not only about money, emotions, or relationships, as you think. Behind them is a spiritual clash, because on your life there is a calling that hell is very afraid you will discover. You think you are only trying to survive the day, but in truth, both I and the enemy of your soul know that you were created to do far more than that. Every time you want to give up, there is a whisper telling you that your life is meaningless. That is not me. That is the voice that wants you to forget that you are sent, so that you will accept living like a faint shadow in this world. I did not create you to be a silent extra in the background. I created you so that my light in you, however small it may seem, would be enough to shine for someone who has lost their way. When I lift you up, even just a little, I do not do it so that you can proudly say you have made it. I place you in new positions, new relationships, new opportunities, so that through them the people may see my fingerprints on your life. I do not want you to show off what you have achieved. I want you to tell of the one who led you through the days when it seemed there was no hope left. The scars in your heart, the traces of your tears, are not things you must hide. They are evidence that you have walked through the fire without being consumed because of me. When you dare to tell others how weak you once were, I will use that very weakness to comfort those who are standing exactly where you once stood. You do not need to have a perfect sermon, you only need a genuine life. And I will use that as a living testimony. Therefore, my child, do not only ask me for blessings so you can be comfortable, then clutch those blessings to yourself as if you are afraid they will be taken away. Blessing truly grows only when it flows through your life to others. If you cling to it, it will turn into fear of losing it, rather than the joy of giving. I want you to step out of the mindset of just surviving and begin to ask me, Lord, where do you want to use me today? That question will change the way you see each day, from merely counting down time to receiving every day as an opportunity to do small things of eternal value together with me. And when you live like that, you will see that every pain, every delay, every furnace you once blamed me for was never wasted. All of it has been gathered and woven into a story that only you carry, so that every time you share it, those who listen will recognize this is not luck, this is the hand of God upon a life that dared to be used by Him. The world keeps pressuring you to keep a calm face, to always appear strong, successful, in control of everything, as if showing even a little weakness means you will be despised and left behind. But I do not look at you that way. I know you on the days when you shine, and also on the nights when you sit in a daze staring at an empty wall. On the mornings when you do not want to leave your bed because your heart is so heavy, when others only want to hear stories of victory, I listen even to the sighs you think no one would ever want to hear. When people run out of patience with you, repeating the same sadness over and over, I still quietly sit beside you, looking at you with eyes that do not grow tired. At times you think of yourself as someone who came too late, who missed out, who burned up your youth on relationships, goals, and illusions that now, in hindsight, feel only empty. You feel as if your life is ruined, as if you have wasted the time I gave you. But when I look at you, I do not see only your mistakes and your falls. I see a heart that, though bruised, still beats. A soul that, though it once wanted to let go, is today still here. Still with a bit of courage left to breathe, to exist, to dare to speak with me, to me. The fact that you can still stand after all the times you have fallen is a beauty that surpasses any title, status, or accomplishment the world praises, trophies, Certificates and compliments will all gather dust. But a person who dares to rise after pain, who dares to return after wandering, in my eyes, that is a spiritual victory far greater than a flawless life that has never made a mistake. You are still here. You still call me Lord. You still dare to call yourself my child, even though you have often felt ashamed of your own wounds. And that pleases me far more than you think. I do not want you to use all that you have not yet done as grounds to condemn yourself day after day. Like a harsh judge, constantly demanding that you be the most perfect version of yourself. You do not need to stand before me as if standing in a courtroom, defending yourself and proving that you deserve another chance. I already know everything. I am not holding a comparison chart in my hand, measuring how many years you are late, how many steps behind, how many opportunities you have lost. You are you, not a copy of anyone else. And the journey I am writing for you does not duplicate anyone's path. Every child I create has a unique rhythm, and if you keep forcing yourself to run at someone else's pace, you will collapse before you ever reach what I truly intend for you. I understand why you keep comparing yourself to others, because you are afraid of being forgotten. Afraid that if you are not as good as they are, you will be left behind. But in my kingdom, no child is surplus. No one is left over. No one is too late and therefore has no share. Those thoughts do not come from me, but from the fear in your heart. From the voice of the world that keeps demanding you prove your worth by results, by speed, by position. I do not see you that way. I see you with the eyes of a father who has watched every step you have taken from childhood until now. Who knows every season you have smiled, every season you have wept, every time you have tried so hard that even you did not notice how much you had already given. Every promise I have placed over your life has its appointed time. Just like the seasons of the trees, some seeds sprout quickly, some slowly, some break through the soil after only a few days. But there are also seeds that must remain hidden for a very long time in the dark earth before they rise into a sturdy tree. You often only like what is instant miracles that happen quickly. Doors that fly open so that you do not have to wait. Do not have to feel uncertain. Do not have to face the question, why have I not received yet? But I do not work according to your impatience. I work according to my wisdom, from which I see the whole picture, when for now you only see a small corner. There are things I deliberately have not yet placed into your hands, not because I can bear to let you live in lack or deprivation, but because I know that if I were to give them to you at a time when your heart is not yet deep enough, your foundations not yet firm enough, your faith not yet rooted, then that very good thing would become a weight that breaks your back. I do not want blessing to turn into chains. I do not want grace to become the very reason that draws you away from me or away from your true self. I would rather slow things down a little in order to dig your foundations deeper, to teach you to trust me in the silence, to train you to stand firm when nothing is yet clear, than to give you something you greatly desire that would, in the end, ruin your soul. You often think that in these past years you have gotten nothing, that you have missed your youth, killed time in foolish choices, in misdirected relationships, in jobs that led nowhere, in long repetitive days where you saw no progress. You look back and see only a chain of waste for your life. But I see those years as a hidden workshop of refinement that few notice. I have used those seemingly meaningless days to soften you in the places where you were stubborn, to make you more sensitive to the pain of others, to break the deep, secret pride that you would not have recognized if you had succeeded too quickly. I have used the wounds in your relationships to teach you to discern what true love is and what exploitation is, so that next time you can recognize the real value of those who know how to cherish you. I have used the nameless tasks, the years of quiet labor that no one acknowledged, to teach you perseverance, endurance, and doing things for me rather than merely for the praise of people. There is no season in your life that is superfluous. There are only seasons whose meaning you have not yet fully understood. And I do not mock you for not understanding. I wait for the moment when you are calm enough for me to explain each part again. Right along the very footprints you once thought were wanderings. Today, even if you feel that you still amount to nothing, I want you to pause and look deeply at this one truth. You are still here. You are still alive. Still able to feel. Still able to believe. Even if you believe with trembling. You do not know how many times you wanted to give up, yet you could never quite let go completely. Because within you, there is still a very small strand that connects you to me. It is precisely this seemingly fragile strand that delights me. It tells me that you have not entirely closed your heart to me, that you still long for something more than a life that merely gets by. Do not despise the fact that you still sit and stay, still read, still listen, still talk with me. That is already the sign of a soul that refuses to let darkness swallow it whole. I do not expect you to become a hero overnight. I simply desire that you give me the chance, day by day, to soften one more small part of your heart. And I want to tell you that you are not the only one who has ever thought it was too late, that there was no hope left. Many whom I dearly love have also gone through long years that felt like a desert, that seemed like my silence, when in reality I was writing the deepest chapters of their story. You often ask yourself, if so, when will it be my turn? When will I clearly see what you have promised? I do not condemn that question, because I understand it is born from all the times you have stood on the sidelines watching others receive the blessings you too have hoped for. But I want you to know that in the spiritual realm, there is no such thing as your turn being taken by someone else. What I have set apart for you, no one can take. What I have ordained for others, you cannot seize. Each person has a portion that is uniquely theirs, and the time for that portion to be revealed is also uniquely appointed. The fact that you see others cross the finish line before you does not mean I have abandoned you at the starting line. Sometimes I intentionally keep you longer at the beginning so that you can learn what they do not need to learn, because you will need it in places where others will never go. Instead of asking, when will it be my turn? I long for you to begin asking, Lord, what are you teaching me in this season? When your question changes, your impatience will lessen, and you will see that I am not motionless as you imagine. I am busy preparing you yourself and the circumstances around you, so that when I bring you into the place I intend, everything will already be in its proper position. You are not forgotten in some corner of the sky, nor have I placed you at the very end of the line and then forgotten to call your name. I remember you, every tiny detail of your life, the things that others would never bother to notice. There are dreams you think you have buried, but I still hold them in my hands and quietly breathe life into them, waiting for the day when you are brave enough to receive them again without fearing failure. There are words you once spoke to me in tears many years ago, and then, worn out, you stopped mentioning them. But I have never forgotten. I keep them as seeds stored away, waiting for the right season to sow them again into your life. And now, though you do not yet see clearly, things are stirring in the unseen realm. I am stirring up those places you thought had grown cold, awakening the healthy desires you once extinguished because you were afraid of hoping only to be disappointed again. My presence is touching the dry places in you, making you suddenly realize you no longer want to live in a way that is merely getting it over with, no longer willing to accept a life of mere endurance. That is the sign that my spirit is at work, not to throw you into panic, but to help you know that I am still continuing my work in your life. You may not yet be able to name this change. You only feel a slight restlessness inside when you live exactly as before. A quiet discomfort when you continue to compromise with what you know is not right. A faint longing for something deeper that you cannot put into words. Do not be quick to quench these feelings. They are not meaningless instability. They are my gentle knocking at your door. I am inviting you to step out of a way of living that only seeks safety, that only wishes to be left in peace, that only asks me, please, don't let me hurt anymore, and to step into a way of living that knows how to ask, Lord, how can I belong to you more? How can I let you use my very life to touch someone? I am not demanding that you change the whole world at once. I only want you to begin with the small things I place before you, a sincere word of concern, a compassionate look, an act of forgiveness you once thought yourself incapable of. Every small step you take with me has eternal value, and it is precisely through those small steps that your calling is revealed. I have not kept you alive until today merely so that you might exist, merely so that you fulfill a few responsibilities and then disappear as if you had never been here. I preserve your life because in your story there is something I want to use to awaken other hearts. The scars on your soul are not only reminders of pain, they will become evidence that I can uphold a person who seemed to have no chance left. You do not know how many people need to hear that from your own mouth, to see that through your own life, and that is why I am awakening you, enlarging your heart, softening the places that once were hardened. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not someone I have passed over so that I can attend to other souls who seem more important. You are being prepared for something both gentle and great, to become living proof that I still work, still heal, still make all things new. Even in a life the world had written off as having nothing more to say. So do not be quick to belittle yourself, and do not confine yourself to the role of the one who just needs a bit of peace. I call you out of that. I call you to become a bearer of peace, a carrier of hope, a bringer of my light to the places where your feet tread. And as you step into this, you will realize that every delay, every silence, every year that seemed utterly wasted was in fact the path along which I led you the long way around, so that today you can stand in my plan without the fear that once gripped you. Have you ever noticed that right in the middle of days that feel pitch black and utterly hopeless, there is still something very quiet stirring in your heart, like a gentle breath threading its way into your chest, like a fragile beam of light that the human eye cannot see, yet your soul recognizes so clearly. Sometimes you do not know what to call it. You just suddenly feel like crying for no specific reason. You just sense deep within a strange kind of expectancy, as if something greater, purer, truer is slowly drawing near. You think it is only a passing emotion, but I want you to know it is the sign that I am rekindling a new life within you. Not the rushed kind of beginning the world offers, but a quiet yet enduring inception where I do not merely adjust a few external details, but change the way you see yourself. See me, and see this world. You often shrink back, thinking you are too ordinary, too small, too full of mistakes, too late for anything that could be called being used by God. But you forget that I have never written any plan based on the standards of the crowd. I do not look at your age to decide whether you are still in time or already too late. I do not use your failures to stamp ruined over your life. I am the one who has always chosen those who were overlooked, who keeps calling the names of those whom no one seems to count, who raises up souls that once condemned themselves. I am a father very different from any face you have ever met. I can take a life that has been labeled a failure and turn it into living proof of how deeply I love and how far my power can go. The weaker you are, the more easily you can become a clear glass through which my light can pass so that others may see. Because then they will no longer be able to say, that is your strength. They will only be able to acknowledge, surely someone must have intervened. But my child, for you to become that kind of witness, I have had to guard you many more times than you realize. If one day you were to sit down in silence and honestly ask me, Lord, how many times have you protected me without my knowing it? You would probably fall quiet in astonishment, Do you remember the time you were so upset because of a traffic jam? Because some tiny incident completely disrupted the carefully planned schedule of your day, and you concluded it was an unlucky day. Yet, if I were to pull back the curtain and show you what lay ahead, you would see that the place where you think you missed your chance was exactly where an accident had just occurred. And if you had arrived on time the way you wanted, you might not be here now, sitting and talking with me. Do you remember the phone call you were waiting for? The promise that seemed as solid as stone, and then suddenly went silent, without a single explanation. You lost sleep over it. You decided you weren't good enough. That's why they failed to show up. Why they changed. Why they abandoned you. But when I saw that call never come, I saw your future being shielded from a relationship that would slowly erode your dignity and your peace. I know which sweet words would turn into chains. I see in advance which smiles would become blades. I can measure the depth of the wounds you would never be able to foresee. That's why there are messages I do not allow to be sent, promises I allow to break, golden opportunities I myself let slip out of your hands. Even as I hear your sighs, even as I see you blaming yourself, blaming others, and even blaming me. I take no pleasure in seeing you cry over such things, but I accept letting you hurt a little now to spare you from a pain 1,000 times greater later on. You look at a single door as if it were everything, but I see the entire corridor that stretches out behind it. Some invitations seem so desirable. Some relationships appear so complete. Some projects look as if they will bring you status and a name. Yet hidden inside is the price your soul would have to pay. Sleepless nights, the distortion of your character, the gradual loss of the simplicity in you that I love. I cannot allow you to trade your soul for something flashy and short-lived. That is why there are times I choose the way you least expect. I slam that door shut. I sever the connection you want to keep. I let everything fall into a strange, heavy silence. To you, it looks like loss. To me, it is redemption. You ask why I do not explain immediately. It is because if I told you everything, you would trust me out of fear, not out of love. I want you to learn to trust me even when you are not given all the data, so that your faith is not a bargain, but a true surrender. Everything I do, whether it is making a way or blocking a path, adding or taking away, all flows from the same source, an unchanging, inexhaustible love for you. This love is not the kind that spoils you by giving you whatever you want, nor is it the cold kind that throws you into tests merely to check your loyalty. It is like a father keeping a knife out of the hands of his little child, even when the child cries and demands it, because he knows those tiny hands would wound themselves. It is like a doctor pressing on a wound to remove what does not belong there, causing you greater pain for a moment so that you will not be infected later. There are times I allow you to pass through things that bring you to tears, not because I enjoy seeing you collapse, but because I know only such experiences can awaken in you a new depth, a compassion you did not have before for the pain of others. I do not waste your tears. Each drop is received by me, remembered by me, and used by me to soften your heart so you will not become numb in a world full of hurt. When you begin to recognize this, you will stop seeing every disruption in your day as a bad omen or bad luck, and you will be slower to conclude that I am against you whenever your plans fall apart. Instead, you will learn to ask a different kind of question, Lord. In this situation, what are you protecting me from? What are you teaching me? What are you preparing me for ahead? That question is not the question of a resigned victim, but of someone beginning to step into spiritual maturity, where they no longer see themselves as a victim of circumstances, but as one who is being led in every step. When your mind shifts from accusation to seeking meaning, you will sense a deeper peace even before anything on the outside has changed. You will no longer need to hold everything in your own hands, because you know that I hold what you cannot see. And then you will understand more deeply a truth you once only heard with your ears. Nothing comes to you without passing through my hands first. And my hands never do anything except out of love for you. Do not think that these quiet protections are merely so you can get through life in peace and nothing more. I do not guard you from one danger just so you can turn your back and continue living as if I were never there. I preserve you because you are part of a larger plan that I am unfolding on the earth. Every time I pull you back from some pit, I am not thinking only of you, I am also thinking of the people you will one day meet, those who stand at the very edge you once stood on. I want that when you look at them, you will not only see their problems, but also recognize your own reflection from years past, so that you can offer them not just advice, but testimony. I have been there, and this is how the Lord brought me out. That is why I do not erase every trace of the battles you have fought. I only draw out the poison, leaving the wisdom so you can become a support for others. The blessing I pour into you is not meant to be a stagnant pond, but a living stream flowing through you to water other dry and thirsty places. When you realize that you are saved, preserved, and protected, not just so you can be safe, but so you can be sent, you will begin to live with a different posture. You will ask less often, when will I receive more and more often? Today, what can I give to someone from what I have already received? You will fear loss less, because you will recognize that the one who has kept you from countless dangers, who has broken traps you never even saw, is surely able to provide everything you truly need as you live for his purposes. You will no longer live like someone who only hopes to escape disaster, but like a person who knows they are in the army of a good king, a king who does not push you alone onto the battlefield, but also does not leave you forever hiding in a shelter out of fear. I want you to step out, fully aware that every step, every word, every choice you make can be a channel through which I touch someone. And once you begin to live like that, the traffic jams, the unanswered messages, the calls that never come, the plans that remain unfinished will no longer be unhealed wounds, but signs that remind you, my love always goes ahead of you, even when you don't see it. My child, everything I have done, I am doing, and will do in your life, both the things that made you rejoice and the things that once made you weep in confusion, all weave together into one single story, the story of a God who does not abandon, does not make mistakes, does not arrive late, and never does anything except what is good for those who belong to him. If today you still feel, deep in your heart, even the faintest warmth, the gentlest desire that I wish my life could be used for something more than just existing, then I want you to know I am the one who placed that desire within you. I am calling you out of a way of living that merely survives, into the life of someone who is sent, not in your own strength, but in mine, the one who has so many times kept you from things you never saw, just so you could stand here, alive, breathing, ready to answer, Lord. Here I am. Please use me. You keep running to me with a long list of questions, all the whys and whens and how long, as if the value of our relationship were measured only by how quickly and how clearly I answer you, and by whether my answer matches your expectations. But my child, if I merely responded to each question and then turned away, I would be no different from a cold machine executing requests. You are far more precious to me than that. I will not simply throw a few solutions into your life to fix temporary confusion. I have come to dwell with you, to make myself the deepest answer to the empty spaces no explanation could ever fill. There are moments